We're talking about social media myths.
You don't have to be extrovert. You don't have to be the loudest in the room to break through the noise. You just have to have a very clear signal.
Identifying what you don't want to be helps you identify what you do want to be.
We can use animation instead of using our face to do the Instagram Reels, TikToks, and so on.
And it's like, that's not how human interaction works.
You don't need to do a video podcast. You can absolutely do an audio-only podcast.
Founders come and say, I don't want this hook. I just want to jump straight to the meat.
Today's going to be a fun one. Personal branding, authority building.
We did a whole section on faceless YouTubers who create almost mini documentaries.
Carousels are crushing on Instagram right now. Today's going to be a fun one. Personal branding, authority building. A lot of the clients that we work with, often they come to us, but they don't want to be the face of it though. They know they need to be on social. They know they want to build authority in their industry and in their space. They're not performers. They're not actors or, even often just comfortable in front of the camera. So today's episode is going to be really interesting because we're diving into how do you still build authority? How do you still build a social personal brand, but not having to focus primarily on you as the face of it necessarily. Often I think we look at it as like the supporting role, because the key really is actually the messaging. And we'll get into that. It's like, what signal are you trying to actually convey? Let's start there. And then the actual medium can be very flexible. And we'll get into platforms and formats, because you also don't need to be on certain platforms. So that's where it's going to get really, really interesting. Anything you want to kick off with here?
Yeah, I get why we're here. Because when you hear the words personal brand, and you hear it associated a lot with this idea that every founder, no matter your company, I don't care if you're not a creator, you need a personal brand, you need to be the front of your company. That's what's going to really push it forward. It's often referred to as a real differentiator as well. If you're able to create that audience that then can cross-pollinate to your brand, well, you're far ahead of the rest. So you hear all this messaging and you go, oh my God, there's no other way. I have to get in front of the camera. I have to turn this on, even though I came into this business to be a business owner, to be an operator. And now I'm here feeling like I have to split, some of my time and potentially a hefty amount of it to content creation. So no wonder you're feeling this kind of pull of, this is not what I signed up for, but also there's this emphasis of you need to lead with your personality. People want to see your personal life. People want to be able to connect with you and your value system, which isn't incorrect. It's very true that people build trust by knowing who you are as a whole, not who you are in one sector, right? Like if you can back up that you're also this way as a leader in various aspects of your life, then that can be powerful for some people.
100%. And the other sort of trap that a lot of people fall into when they see personal brands, and we're all guilty of this, in some ways it's somewhat natural. Often it's the loudest voices that make it to the front, right? And so as a result of that, the status quo or the standard becomes, oh, you have to be extrovert. You have to be loud. You have to do that to break through the noise. We're here to tell you, you don't have to be extrovert. You don't have to be the loudest in the room to break through the noise. You just have to have a very clear signal. And that's what we're talking about. It's the message can be the medium that breaks through the noise. And what we often find is that actually a lot of introverts succeed really well on social media. They just need to look at it through a different lens. And that's why, the Gary Vaynerchuk's, who we're big supporters of, has done a lot for social media and getting people to embrace social media more. But that's just one angle, right? The don't give a fuck, breakthrough, don't care what people say. That's all true, all very, very true. But it's also, in some instances, not necessary. There are some incredible creators out there. Now, some of them may well still have, personal two-camera speaking roles within their content, but people like Matt Gray have done a phenomenal job of conveying and communicating clear, powerful signal and messaging through imagery. Their face isn't even on there. It's just beautiful graphics that make a lot of sense when you first see them. You understand it within the first second or two, which stops the scroll in the same way that a big, loud character would. And the message within it is so powerful that you swipe him through these carousels. You don't even see his face. So and that's just one example, right? There's so many.
ASMR, like that's the most
100%.
extreme alternative. And obviously it's very niche and not for everyone. But it's like there are so many ways to capture attention that you can do it through silence too. And you're so right that a lot of, we deal with it all the time. Founders come and say, I don't want to rage bait.
Right.
I don't want this. We hear this too. I don't want this hook. I don't want any hookiness. I just want to jump straight to the meat. And obviously sometimes there is that balance to find between even what you're perceiving hooks are.
Yeah.
Like how you define hooks, because a hook in and of itself is really just something that captures attention.
That's it.
Again, the nature of it doesn't always have to be rage bait. It doesn't always have to be some dramatic, sometimes false statement to reel people in and that breaks trust. And some people will use that and then, you'll find out that the video wasn't about that thing or whatever. And that's some people's strategy. But once again, that's kind of because you hear those loud voices, that's what you assume a hook is. And then you don't like the feel of it. Right?
I agree.
Like it's you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And so I think that's a powerful myth for us to break first and foremost, right? So we break that myth. And then the second part to all of this is then building some kind of system around how you're going to approach your content and therefore build your authority. I love the framework of the pyramid where you've got content and then IP at the top. And people jump to that. They jump to being able to say, I am going to have intellectual property, i.e. I'm going to own a message, and I'm going to do that through the medium of content. Fantastic. That's how it should be. However, you're missing a few key steps, right? In the same way that if you're building a house on a swamp, good luck with the foundations lasting, right? But if you develop that foundational layer first through systems, operations, then you're becoming an operator rather than a content creator. And I think that's the key distinction for this next layer. Once we've broken the myth that you don't have to be the loud face in front of all of your content, build a system, build some operations and strategy around what you want your signal to be. Once that's established, the medium of the content is actually the flexible part, believe it or not. And if anything, you can test different things. Going back to what you just said on the hooks, like educational hooks, dramatic hooks, cute hooks. Like this, all you're doing is just getting the attention. Could be educational. There's no problem in that. There's many great educational hooks that don't need to be based in fear mongering or, whatever other angle you don't want to lean into. There's so much flexibility in the actual medium, but I think people don't focus on these foundational layers first. And if you do, the other stuff comes so much easier.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk about the foundational layers, well, there's that first question of, what do you want to be known for? Mm-hmm. And you've already established probably in sharing all of this, I don't want to be rage baity. I don't want to be dramatic. I don't want to be this. There's a lot of answers in there, that can guide you a lot of the time. Identifying what you don't want to be helps you identify what you do want to be. And there's absolutely a space for that. So asking that first, what do you want to be known for? That's going to become the core of your signal. And then you can build from there. Okay, how am I then going to disseminate that into messaging, into content pillars? And then break that down into episodes over time.
Hence the content engine series that you should then develop, which is still part of that operational system so that you're not waking up every day and thinking, what am I going to post today? You already know because it's been developed through key content series and you have an engine. That way you can allow yourself to get ahead as well. You're no longer being reactive. I want to also just bash a couple more myths because we deal with it on the client side when people come to work with us. And initially, the one that gets me every time is I want to be a key authority in my space, but I don't want to adhere to the rules of engagement. And like what I mean by that is when they give examples like, but I don't want to have to create loads of content, or but I don't want to have to be the sort of person that has to like break the scroll. They should, like, I'm a doctor or I am an authority, so they should just already want to listen to my message. And it's like, no, unfortunately there is a rule book here. This is a science. It's like everybody wants that.
Yeah.
Like I want 10 million followers and for them to just love my content because I'm an expert.
Or just for you. Everybody wants to go, simply because it's you and you open your mouth.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, And it's just not the truth.
It's not, and we have to debunk that, because like this like entitlement is everywhere, and we all fall into it at times, right? Like we are the own hero, we are our own main characters, like it's natural. And granted, in some instances, people fall on the other side where they struggle so much with just believing in themselves that they go the other way. But let's just like, the debunking of the entitlement side is a really important one, because you are literally holding yourself back by just trying to play by a completely different set of rules. Like you are not the exception. You're just not. None of us are. There's a playbook here. There's a reason. Like you are not just up against, let's just say, the doctor industry. You're not just up against every other doctor out there, because hundreds of thousands of other doctors are doctors and also want to have a platform.
Yes.
I promise you. I know, because we get reached out to by 20 a day at this point. So
But you're also up against anybody who puts on a lab coat.
and that's where I'm going. Not even just that. Not even just that. Just the AI robot where I just click that button. Like you have to play by the rules. Now you can be creative and go around and over and under. Like there's loads of opportunities like that, and that's some of the frameworks that we're going to get into with different formats and different ways of doing that. And that's probably going to come towards the end of this episode. But like I need to establish there is a set of rules. It's invisible, but you are not the exception. As much as you want to be, I want to be as well. It doesn't work like that. The game is the game. It's like trying to play a game of soccer, football, where I come from, and just picking up the ball and running with it and throwing it in the goal. Like I would love to do that too. I guarantee I would win.
You won't be called out.
Yeah. It'll be okay. Like just they're not going to see. Like no, unfortunately, it's football, because you need to use your foot, and like that's just the rules. Now you can get creative and be phenomenal, like Messi and Ronaldo, and do all these quirky tricks. Social media is exactly the same. There is a playbook here. It's not written down quite in the same way, but it's important that we all understand the game we're playing, and then we can figure out some hacks. Then we can figure out some shortcuts. Then we can figure out some ways of optimizing it. But we have to establish that first.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Are there any other key myths that come to mind?
I think the other key myth is that whole game, and we speak to a lot of clients on this angle as well, of like, you know, I'm confident that I can, again, be the exception, and I can just come up with the content in the moment.
Yeah. Because potentially they've been doing that for a while, right?
And
Not
that's
everybody's
exactly
burnt out from that part, but they're potentially stuck in a certain layer of content or a layer of thinking so far as their content.
See, that's exactly it. So we have, again, clients that we even work with now that have done a good job of getting by coming up with content in the moment and being quite reactive to what's going on. And there's a magic to that, right? Trends come and go. Like you do have to be very, very quick on those. So you can only plan for so much. But I think what I communicate to those clients is very much like, we can allow for that. We can create space for that. But if you don't have a content signature series, you are going to be forever doing that. And then tell me what happens when you feel ill. Tell me what happens when something happens in your family and you want to have a break. Tell me, like, you won't have an answer. You don't have an answer. I know you don't. And
Even if you're good at this.
100%.
We're all human. Yeah,
Exactly.
It's gonna fall at some point.
Yeah, and also you don't recognize the pressure that's on your shoulders when you've got to wake up and come up with something in the moment every day until it gets too late. Candidly, like I've seen these memes recently from someone that was on a podcast, and I actually don't know her name, but she was like, it was on Diary of a CEO, and she's like, humans can't burn out. And I'm like, I have seen it. Like I have witnessed it many times. Yes, that is the definition of a human. You have a limited source of energy, physically, mentally. Like, of course humans can burn out. So stack the chips in your favor. Why not? Like, that is what we're talking about as we go into the content signature series component. So that to me is the next layer here anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got you asking yourself, what do you want to be known for? That's going to be your core signal. Then on top of that, building your signature series. We usually say aim for about 3 to 5. But if you're kicking off, start with 3 signature series that start to, build out that messaging in different ways. It's going to bring you away from that mindset of what I should post every day and into this mindset of, okay, I'm actually building something here. People are coming and rallying around the bonfire, which is what we call it. You bring a seat and you're actually starting to tune in a little bit more. And again, you don't have to build those series around your personal life or, things that you're not comfortable with building your content around. That can be things like, I mean, we're talking about social media myths.
Yep.
If you're a business owner, it could be startup myths. You know, that's such an easy way to not make it about you. You can make it about your industry.
Fitness myths, fashion myths, real estate myths, financial myths. You can go forever. Yeah.
Yes. And that's a great one because it immediately creates trust because you feel like somebody is coming to you and breaking through the BS.
Well, this is perfect. So let's speak about the break, shift, invite framework, because the way that we look at it is you have 3 different types of content. Together, there's a through line, and that's the crucial part. If you break that line, it's not going to be as effective. But we have a content signature series built around break. What is break? Well, we want to break the scroll. That's the whole point of that is to hook them, stop them, get their attention, right? Then we move to the shift content within this framework. The whole premise of that is to challenge a belief, change a belief. That's exactly what you're talking about. Myths. And then you're, again, positioning your authority because you're the one bringing the correct answer or challenging the status quo. Exactly. And then, of course, it's the invite side of things. That's where we are literally inviting them into our ecosystem. This might be converting someone into a newsletter, or it might be getting someone to follow you, depending on what your metrics of success are.
Well, now it's like you've bought into the beliefs. How do you now live it? How do you bring it into your world? And in order to do that, you have to go deeper into theirs. You know, you have to feel like you're actually part of something and that this is edging its way into your everyday, you know? So it is so important that you ensure each series actually serves each of those roles, because another thing we see is people creating content, even absent-mindedly, and trying to do it all within a single piece of content. Stop the scroll. Yes, you've got to do that either way, but then shift the belief immediately, get people on your side, and then invite them into your corner all in a oneer. And it's like, that's not how human interaction works. You don't meet someone and become their best friend on day one. It takes time. It takes many meetings, many opportunities to build trust, and then to go, hey, instead of just going to the movies, come over to my house, let's have a sleepover. Whatever.
Totally, yeah. You don't.
It takes time.
Yeah, you don't go up to the guy and, hey, your car sucks, buy mine for $50,000.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was your name? Like, can we, like, why should I trust you? Like,
and you've
well,
said
because
all
I
that
told you.
60 seconds.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to then convert?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And the key thing there is that it takes time. You've got to compound this signal over time to be able to develop and curate that audience. And they've got to buy into you. They've got to start to trust you. And that's what's going to come through that shift content. But you've got to get them first, hence the break content. And then eventually, yes, you can. It's going back to Gary Vee. I really do like the principle of jab, jab, right hook, right? Because the whole play there is like, their analogy is the right hook is the asking for something. That's the CTA, that's the conversion part, that's the invite part for us. You don't just invite, right? You're not a salesperson to just drive selling every single corner. You got to, break the scroll, you got to develop the trust, and then you've got to do the conversion. But you can do that through individual pieces of content that over time will compound as part of that bonfire that you rightly talked about.
At that point, though, Gary has also given you so much value that you're ready to move.
Through break and shift content. Because the shift content, which changes the belief and challenges behaviors, is the trust building stuff. That's the value. That's the like, oh, I learned this. Previously, I thought that, but now I've been educated in this. So yeah, value before you ask for that. So I love that. It fits in the framework perfectly. I think the next and arguably final part, but I do want to get to this, is like, we started this episode with like, you don't have to be the face of it, right? I want to build it, bring it back full 360, especially from like a formats perspective and a platform and a medium perspective. And this is very tactical at this point, right? So let's say we've covered a lot here. So let's say that we've established what we want to be known for. We've established the signal through which we're going to be known for that thing, okay? We've then established a content series of very key pieces of content and pillars that are going to do the break, do the shift, do the invite sort of series over time. This is going to continue. But now we get into like the medium and the platform and the how.
Well, now as a founder, even listening to that, I'm potentially going, okay, great. So I still like to be big face. I still have to create my 3 signature series. That sounds like a lot of content. What now?
So that's the final myth we have to break, right? Because now we get into the interesting part of being able to either, I would argue it's an and, not an either, but let's just play the game here. Either leaning into your existing strengths or developing your weaknesses until it becomes a strength. Now, we would argue do both, right? Like if your strength is in the level of detail and tactical nature of your expertise, well then let's lean into that, because you're going to have knowledge that other people don't, because you're so in depth in your messaging and your signal that's your superpower. Now we just need to figure out how to get that out. That could be through infographics. Carousels are crushing on Instagram right now. Absolutely. So very, very easy. We don't even need to see your face. That's going to still do what it needs to do. You still want to break, shift, and invite. The break can be demystifying something that's really complex for a lot of people and they don't understand it. In the fitness and health space right now, peptides is a great example. Like I'm literally saving peptide cheat sheets. I don't even take peptides at the moment, but I'm interested, right? So I'm like, wow, it's every name and what they've done. This is amazing. And if that creator then just goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, I'm going to be following them. And 100%. So let's get that one out of the way. Podcast is another fantastic medium. You don't need to do a video podcast. You can absolutely do an audio only podcast. Spotify, Apple, like there's so many different platforms through which you can do that. That again could be a long, detailed 30 minutes, hour, 2 hours, as long as you want. We can chop that up. Let's go 1, 10, 30 on it. One key piece of content that's 2 hours long, chop that up into 10 different pieces of snackable things. We can use animation instead of using our face to do the Instagram Reels, TikToks and so on, and then we can create quote cards and infographics based on the 30 that we're going to do. I can go forever.
It reminds me when on the newsletter we did a whole section on faceless YouTubers who create almost mini documentaries, and they're doing so well. This was a while ago. We spoke about the surgence of it, but you can see it to this day. It's like, especially in the celebrity space and things like that, it's like you can earn an authority and a huge follower base as well, without revealing your face ever.
I can go a layer deeper. There's channels I follow. I don't even know what their real voice is.
Yeah.
I know for a fact they're just plugging it into an 11 Labs AI voice generator and just picking a voice that they think is interesting, and there's their video. And I watch those all the time. Yep. And it's just a series of moving images or graphics or animations or just B-roll, but I'll still watch them. So anyway, I think that hopefully sufficiently demystifies and at least breaks the myth that you have to be that. Now, the last thing I want to wrap this up with a little bow is that it is and not or. At all times. So even if you are the introvert that doesn't want to be on camera or feel comfortable being on camera, there is absolutely no reason why you can't practice that. You don't ever have to publish it. You don't ever have to, arguably, I would say, like most things, if you practice something enough, you will compound and stack wins until you become better at it. That's just simple fact.
And you will find the format that works for you, that doesn't feel as foreign as the others. And maybe there's like a middle ground you need to find, but you will.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree. All right. That was awesome. Hopefully there was a lot of value there. Feels like it was.
I hope so.
Awesome.